Alright, friends, so I've dumped about 35 hours into Monster Hunter Worlds. I've completed the campaigns, I've crafted the armors, I got the cool weapons, and I've hunted pretty much all that there is to hunt. And I got some final thoughts about this game. Alright, so the first thing I want to get out of the way is the fact that I don't really play Monster Hunter games. As a matter of fact, this is really my first true Monster Hunter experience. I've played a little bit of Worlds, but I don't remember much of it. So when I'm talking about this game, understand that it's coming from the perspective of somebody who knows absolutely close to nothing about the franchise. But my friends hyped me up for it, so I jumped into it. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the big elephant in the room and the optimization of this game. I played on PC, I used a 4080 Super and an AMD 7800 X3D or something like that. And this game really could have used a little bit more time in the oven. I've experienced some artifacting, some really bad artifacting. There was a big day one patch that came out, but I don't think this is exclusive to Capcom or the game. It's kind of hard to really gauge this because it seems like nowadays most big AAA games come out with a day one patch or optimization issues or things like that. I can make a whole different video about this, but I feel like it's because a lot of the power in these graphics cards, especially with their AI upscaling, kind of makes it lazy for devs. They don't really have to optimize as much, but that's just my opinion. With that out of the way, I didn't really experience anything too game breaking, just some things that were minorly annoying. Now, as far as the main campaign goes, it's about 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours if you really push it, and it serves well enough. I mean, there wasn't really anything that stood out. I felt like the story just served as a vehicle for the monster fights, and in that purpose, it did a great job. I don't think the game's going to win any awards for its writing, but I don't think Monster Hunter is really known for that. So, campaign was great, did its job, did what it needed to do. The world design is beautiful and unique, and it really has a Monster Hunter feel to it. And being able to navigate that world with this raptor was such an awesome addition to the game. Not only that, but being able to whetstone and potion yourself and call the raptor whenever you needed a quick out from a hairy situation was always really fun to execute, and it felt really cool during those moments. Game design was really cool. The monsters looked really unique. Some of the newer monsters looked really cool. Some of the returning ones got a really nice facelift. The weapons you crafted and the armor you crafted from the monsters was really cool looking. And honestly, throughout the entire game, I never felt like I was wearing something stupid. I always had a cool set of armor to go for. I always looked really cool. And even now in the end game, with this in-game armor, I look really awesome. And so the weapons are awesome. The armor looks fucking cool. The monsters look cool. The fights are really big in scale. I mean, this really delivers on the Monster Hunter experience, and it really dialed in on what makes Monster Hunter stand out as a really unique game. The combat in this game was much more streamlined and accessible than it was back in Worlds. I used a charge blade in both games, and in Worlds, I really felt like I was driving a tank and fighting the controls much more than I was fighting the bosses. I missed a lot of shots, I couldn't line things up, the combos were a little bit too janky, and I felt like an overall burden on my team. None of that is present in Wilds. Thanks to that new focus mode, I was able to line up my shots a lot better, and combat felt a lot more smooth and cohesive. I really felt like I was fighting the monster and not the game, and so for that, big kudos. The multiplayer in this game is real hit and miss. While I was with my friends and using a squad lobby, it was real easy to jump into their sessions and slay monsters together. However, going into single player and doing these random lobbies, it was real hard finding an SOS mission that didn't kick me out or did not give me some connection error. I had to try like 4 or 5 different separate hunts just to get the right hunt or just to get a hunt that I could connect to. I don't know if this was due to the netcode or anything like that, but I really hope this gets fixed because it's real burdensome if you're playing this game by yourself. One thing I will say though is that it feels like Monster Hunter Wild's biggest strength is also the source of one of its biggest weakness in that it's almost too accessible. What I mean by that is that the game actually has an in-depth crafting system. It has a collection system and it has a lot of things on the map that you can collect to craft potions, other items, traps and things. A lot of that is made moot and redundant with the autocraft system. I went through the whole campaign and even the end game and I never really had to craft anything, and all my potions were stocked, all my traps were still stocked, and so it feels weird to have such a rich and deep system, but to counteract it by making everything super easy to farm and have auto crafting on. So I feel like the game really did itself a disservice and took a lot of attention from what could have been a really in-depth system by just making it easier for everybody. A great example of how this accessibility kind of takes away from Monster Hunter Wilds lies within the Artian weapons you get to craft somewhat near the late in game of the campaign. These weapons are essentially your in game weapons. You get to custom build your weapon, you get to infuse it with the element you want, and give it the stats you kind of want for the most part. Now, when you enhance them, the stats are randomized, but this kind of control kind of makes it moot to kind of craft anything else, which is a shame because you have a whole tree of beautiful looking weapons, but for the most part, none of them are really going to do what your artisan weapon does at that point in the game. So it's kind of lame that I have all these really cool looking weapons, and the only reason to really build them is just aesthetics. Now, taking all of this into consideration, the Wizard's final thoughts are this: it's a fun game. I enjoy it. It was well worth the money, and I still look forward to playing the game, even though I've pretty much completed everything I wanted to complete. I've collected the armors I want to complete. I still feel like I want to play. I still want to hunt the monsters. I still want to play with friends, and I want to still experience the game. And that's the hallmark of a great game. The optimization issues, if Capcom does it right, should be fixed in the future. The multiplayer connection issues, if Capcom does it right, should be fixed in the future. A lot of the gripes I've had, and I wouldn't even call them gripes, but a lot of the inconveniences I've experienced are all things that I feel like can be fixed with time. Now, as far as the crafting stuff and the ease of access, I don't think Capcom is going to change that. However, if you look at it from the point of just hunting monsters and that's it, you're not going to do much better than Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, obviously, these are just my opinions and my views, and I'm sure you have opinions of your own. Post them in the comments below and make sure you hit that like button too. Let's talk about this game. Did you have fun? Did you enjoy it? Am I wrong in everything that I said? Or maybe I'm right. Maybe this video got you to play the game. Let me know what you think about it. Anything and everything. Let's interact, because I really like talking to you guys. Hit that like button also, and I'll see you guys next time.